Hello there, welcome back. This is Sheepishly here once again, and today I've just got a short video going through my Phys Dot Elementalist and how my league start for the Keepers of the Flame 3.27 POE league went. I think the league start went generally very well. This is a very strong build. The only hiccup is that the build is obviously very popular, so all the gear is quite expensive. I did make some adjustments along the way just to get a little bit of cheaper gear. I will take you guys through it in a second. But yeah, so my character level 94, I have finished all the maps as well as unique maps, 1.5, L1.5, 4 stones done, and they went quite smoothly, to be completely honest with you. And in terms of the Atlas tree, I am just missing a few invitations, which I'll probably do after this video. And I'm just farming a little bit of distracted play here using Egan as well as, well, Guardians and Conqueror maps. Farming a little bit of Starfall Crater, which I've seen 3, but no Svalon yet. I'll keep you guys updated on that progress. And I'm also doing a bit of ritual for Nameless Rituals, but I think Heist obviously is the biggest moneymaker and the thing that's actually sustaining the build at the moment. So I would definitely recommend you putting Heist onto your Atlas tree if you haven't done so already. The blueprints kind of just fly off the shelves. In terms of the gear, now the number one upgrade I would recommend you guys to get would be the Battering Graft, looking for the level 30 return to dust skill. Now this is probably a little bit of open secret already. This thing does incredible amounts of single target damage, and for a Phys Dot Elementalist, single target is kind of the hardest thing for us to get. If you take a look at this one, what you're looking for is level 30 Return to Dust. Level 34 is the best one, but those are very, very expensive, so level 30 will do. And what you really want to look for then is the third mod here, which is skills used by this Graft deal 200% increased damage. Now this mod goes all the way up from 100 something, all the way up to 220. I think something like 150% is more than enough. So what this does is that when you're fighting a boss every 10 seconds, it's actually going to do something like 200,000 times 3, which is 700,000 damage, which is a tremendous amount of single target damage. But more importantly, because we are a Phys Dot Wonder, we scale with vulnerability as well as anger. So realistically, this thing can do upwards of 1 million damage, and you can definitely feel that damage when you're fighting bosses. Coming over here, I've got a small clip of me fighting a Minotaur. I don't think there's live mods, but if I draw the Minotaur here just to demonstrate the damage of the Graft. Okay, there he is. So you can see that the Graft spawns these 4 hands around the boss. And if you look at his health bar here, which is roughly around, actually I can't tell, maybe 70%. You see that damage there, which is very noticeable. Well, the Vitality Boom there from Maven kind of healed it back up, but you can see the damage is very, very noticeable. I think, let me see if I manage to get another, oh, it's actually killing me, so. If you look at the hands again, look at that. That slime probably did something like 20% of the Minotaur's life bar, which is very, very noticeable. Okay, so Toe Graft, definitely something you want. The second one, you can't really pick anything here. I took the Molten Zoth Graft just to have a little bit of defensive power. Yeah, just bought this for like 5 chaos, so that's all fine. In terms of gear though, I would recommend to take Pyro Shock Clasp. Now this is really to combo up with your Shaper of Flames and Shaper of Storms. Obviously if you move on to Shaper of Winter, I don't recommend you using this anymore. This really is just to give you that additional layer of physical damage reduction, which is very, very nice. Now for the armor, if we go through the helmet and boots first, essentially we're just looking for life resistances and I guess movement speed on the boots. These are very, very cheap rare items this league. The Genesis tree literally spits out these rare, so you can probably get one of them for 5 and 10C, so I won't go too much into them. Now for body armor, you just want to choose an armor and energy shield one. I just bought this one from trade for 3 chaos with exactly these rows, can you believe it or not? Again, the Genesis tree just chuck out these crazy rares, so you can just look for these items on trade. You probably won't spend more than 5-10C to get a very nice upgrade. Now, as you guys will notice, I did not go for a Poet's Pen and instead opted for a Phys spell, skill gems, well, in this case, a Scepter, but also with 2 of the damage over time multi-mods, which is first one being generic, and the second one being for physical damage over time multiplier. Now, the reason I went for this instead of a Poet's Pen is because one, Poet's Pen was quite expensive. It was something like 3 divines after Rue bought it. I think it's down to 1 divine now, so definitely a lot more manageable. And for reference, this Scepter cost me 20 chaos. And the second thing is that, well, Poet's Pen and Hemophilia combo is really good for clear speed, but for this build, what you're really struggling with is single target, which means that a Scepter as well as a 4-link for Exam Grenade kind of just works a little bit better there. Now onto the gloves, which is a pseudo 5-link. Now this glove is actually very easy to craft. You're just looking for a fractured maximum life. I think these goes for incredibly cheap this league. Again, thanks to the Genesis trees. Well, there you go, a perfectly rolled T1 fractured maximum life gloves. 2 chaos, 3 chaos, 5 chaos. So what you want to do is to buy one of these gloves, and you would come over here to Falters, and you would spend some of your well-earned chaoses and go for this essence mod. Yep, so Delirium is the one you want. The mod you really want here is for glove. Socketer gems deal 30% more damage over time, and you can see this is a completed product here. I just slammed it once and I hit 36% cold res, good enough. Crafted some life regen. And there you go, that is pseudo 5-link. This is actually a very nice boost to your Exang damage. Now for the plus 1 Fist Spell Shield, this is actually very straightforward as well. You can see that it's the same crafting process. You're looking for that T1 fractured life. But instead of rolling with an essence, you want to come over here into your Craft station, which is your harvest bench. And you want to reforge with physical modifiers, which cost about 50 of these yellow juices. Now again, yellow juices at the start of the league is very, very cheap. I think these go for about, yeah, so it's literally less than 1 chaos per row, and I think the odds of hitting the T plus 1 Fizz Spell Gem is something like 1 in 20 attempts, right? So let's just say that's 20 chaos. The base is probably 5C, so you spend 25 chaos for this one. For the shield though, a quite important thing is that you should definitely look for an open prefix, so you can craft on the percentage increased chance to block, because block is one of the key sources of damage mitigation on this build. For the amulet, just look for a plus 1 fist skill gems. Those are going down in price quite quickly. Finds of the Viper is something that Ru used for an enchant. It's pretty good because we do have a bit of dexterity issues, and the 5% movement speed, it is quite nice. The one thing I haven't gone over in terms of my setup is this ring here. This ring is not cheap. This ring is actually crazy because the two explosions will pro-live off each other, which is, yeah, it's silly. So if you're playing this build and you have a bit of cash to invest, I would actually invest in this ring because I seriously think that this ring is better than Profane Bloom or the Oriath and Flask, because I think this is guaranteed explosions. For all of your Golem enjoyers, you know how strong Primordial Bond is. That's why in every Elementalist POB, you would have 1, 2, 3, or sometimes even 4 cluster jewels. You can have one more down there with Primordial Bond. Now, you would also know that Primordial Bond even is very expensive because even the base jewel, as you can see that this is a jewel that is not even crafted on, it's something like 1.1, 1.2 divines. But the tip is that you don't really need a jewel with 8 passives. For League Start, you can just grab one with, well, 9 passives. How much is that? Let's have a look. Wow, 10 chaos, right? And the reason you don't need that passive is that if all you're doing is grabbing one notable passive, which is Primordial Bond, then it doesn't really matter if it's 8 or 9. So you have an 8 here and have a 9 there. You're always taking 2 extra points to grab the cluster jewel. Now, you only want an 8 mod cluster if you can get to something like 2 or 3 notables to save you some points, but you don't really have that luxury in the start of the league. So I would just stick with 9 passive clusters and save yourself that entire divine, right? The difference between 1.1 divines and 10 chaos. I would just save you some money and save those divines up to buy some other cool stuff. Maybe like this ring here, which is very, very fun to play around with. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. I will be making another video on this ring. But yeah, that's for next time. I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.